I finished putting the decals on the top. I had issues. I don't know why. The cartograph, but the in-flight refueling one, I had issues. Wouldn't go down properly. I tried fixing it several times and I ended up overdoing it and damaging it. So I peeled it off with Tamiya tape. If you get Tamiya tape, the thickest, the wider stuff's more sticky. Just peel it and just stick it on and it pulls the decal off. And then I sanded it back, painted that area again, and I've stolen a decal out of one of my F-16 kits, so it's the wrong colour, but as seems to be the theme so going with this build, is I'm just gonna go with it because I like the paint job. Now the decal, I'm trying to do the pods, the decals. This particular pod, it's calling out for all these decals. They're not on the decal sheet. I've gone over every decal on both sheets about 10 times and I can't find them. So either I'm losing my mind or they're not there. So I'm just gonna, I gotta paint the tips different color. When I do that, I'm just gonna cut up some decals off the sheet that I'm not using and use them. I've still got to paint the missiles, the noses up white, black I think, and the tip before I decal them. I've done the drop tanks and I've done the other pods and I've done the GBU 12s. So yeah, so I'm getting at the stage really where I'm glad to see the back end of this kit because it's destroying my mojo. Alright, so that's that pod. Like I said, I've just used decals that were meant for other pods and just randomly, well not randomly, I put them where, some of them where it said they go, but it's not the ones that are meant to be there because they're not on the sheet. And no one will know except you and me. Seat is clear as mud. I can't, because the decals aren't numbered, I don't know what the decals are. It's too hard to try and read it and match it on the sheet, so I've cut out what I think are the ones, and they've got right, left. I think that's back to front. I think that's your right side, the box on the side of the seat, and the other side, I don't know, doesn't look like the seat to me anyway. But this is the problem with Kinetic instructions, because it looks like they just photocopy. It's too hard to make some things out, and they should number their decals. That's just lazy. If they want to do it this way and not number decals, they need clearer pictures, basically. I've done the weapons. I've painted them and decaled them. They're out. I put them outside in the sun to dry if I want to finish this build off, because it's, like I said in the last bit, it's eating my mojo. I've put all these decals on the engine pedals. So hopefully they dry okay, and I'll have to gloss it to get them, to protect them so they don't come off. I didn't want to. That metallizer, when you buff it, or if you gloss it, it dulls it down a bit, but doesn't matter, I guess. But so when that's dry, I can gloss that, and then I can get into weathering. There's decals that go on the landing gear as well, but I'm not doing them. They are numbered, but I'm not, you're not going to see them really. There, so I just need to wait for some stuff to dry now. So I've just put the wash on as my go-to, the dark dirt wash for Flory models. So I've mentioned before several times, it works, it's easy to use, and it's quick. I do the weapons as well, because even though they may not get dirty like an aircraft would, you don't, to me it looks funny if you're putting a bright, shiny, clean weapon on a aircraft that's dirty, it stands out too much clash between the two. But that's a personal taste, of course. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. So when that's dry, I can wipe it back. Then when it's wiped back, I'll give it a satin clear coat. Then I can remove that masking on the cockpit and put the seat in and give it a bit of a wash on the inside. I've done the canopy had decals as well for the pilot, and it might be his air crew maintenance or something like that. I don't know how it works, how they do it. They put their names on the canopy. So yeah, I'm heading towards the end. Okay, finished it off. If you can see, I've put some oil paint in the inside the afterburner. If you look at F-16 engines, you can see it's like a creamy brown colour inside them from the burning. So, like I said, I'm glad to get it finished. The objective for me for this build was to see if Kinetic have improved the F-16s. They have somewhat. The fuselage is changed and is better. I also found, I think the canopy setup might be different too. It seemed to fit really good. That canopy is, I haven't glued it, it's just sitting there. It clips into the fuselage, and there's a handle that grabs onto the interior, across the interior of it, which would be the activating mechanism on the real thing. So it's just sitting there nice and firm. Disappointment for me was that the gunship grey wasn't dark enough, even though I followed references in the instructions for the FS federal standard number. I used the correct one, so I really didn't want to spray it again. So like I said, I just accept it for what it is. Now, I've given this Kinetic a bit of a hard time throughout, but this is the fifth one of theirs I've built, and I can tell you now I will build more because they do so many variants of the F-16. I know Tamiya do a kit which I haven't built, but they only do the one. Well, as far as I know, it's just the one variant. Whereas Kinetic cover heaps of different nationalities and the different blocks. So if you want to do something different, you need to go down that path. The biggest thing probably for me was the intake still hasn't changed. It's still I find it quite painful, but because the F-16 is such a big intake, if they could come up with a better way to do that, it would be good. And their instructions are just really ordinary. They photocopy and step it up, improve the quality. Plenty of other manufacturers can do it, especially with the call-outs of the decals, not actually numbering the decals. That's really ordinary. Makes it very difficult to get things right. But I like the bulldog on the tail. That looks really good, the cartoon bulldog. Anyway, I'll take some still photos of it now and add to the end of this video. So hopefully if you're looking at building a Kinetic F-16, I've given you some tips or advice to help you get your way through it. Thank you for watching.